Good morning, students. Hello, Namaskara. Today's class we shall be discussing levy and collection under GST. Dear students, under the old system of GST, there is an older regime. Taxable event was different for different taxes. Just for example, in case of excise duty, the taxable event was manufacturing or production of goods. In case of service tax, the taxable event was provision of service. Similarly, in case of sale tax, the taxable event was sale of goods. Here, taxable event refers to on happening of what they shall be tax applicable or tax leviable, or when tax liability will arise on happening of what event, that event is called as taxable event. So in the older system, we used to have a different taxable event for different taxes. In order to replace such multiplicity, so GST has bought a single and unified taxable event, which is called supply. That is, tax would be payable on supply of goods or services. If there is no supply of goods or there is no supply of services, then there shall not be any GST payable. Therefore, we tell taxable event under GST is supply of goods or supply of services or both. Thus, we can say the core part of GST is supply. If at all any person shall be eligible to pay GST, then such person should have carried out the activity of supply of goods or supply of services. If there is no activity of supply of goods or supply of services, then there shall not be any GST payable by that person. So we can conclude that GST, the core part is supply. Under the second chapter, levy and collection, we shall be broadly discussing 6 sections, that is starting from section 7, which refers to meaning and scope of supply. Section 8, tax liability of composite and mixed supply. Section 12, time of supply of goods. Section 13, time of supply of services. Section 14, change in the rate of tax in respect of supply of goods and services. Section 15, value of supply. So all these sections are being covered under second chapter, levy and collection under GST. So we shall be discussing all these 6 sections. To start with, first we will take up section 7, meaning and scope of supply. Meaning and scope of supply. So first let me tell you what does scope refers to. A scope means what are the things that will be covered under the supply, or what are the things that will not be covered under the supply. So this is what we mean by scope of supply. So section 7 take care of meaning and supply, meaning and scope of supply. So if you look at here, we have 3 sections: section 7 subsection 1, section 7 subsection 2, section 7 subsection 3. Therefore, under section 7, we have 3 subsections, that is subsection 1, 2, and 3, and each subsection is having different clauses. Take for example, section 7, subsection 1, we have clause A, 7, subsection 1, we have clause B, similarly clause C and clause D. Likewise, if we take up section 7, we have subsection 2, clause A and clause B. Therefore, section 7, just a glance, we shall be discussing all these things in detail. So section 7, we have 3 subsections, 1, 2, and 3, and each subsection having different clauses. Now, as I tell you just few minutes before, taxable event under the GST is supply of goods or supply of services or both. If there is no event called supply, then there shall not be any GST payable. What is the event? Event is supply of goods or supply of services. Therefore, it becomes very important for us to understand first what is goods and what is services, because the taxable event says GST is applicable or payable only on supply of goods or supply of services. But let's try to understand what is the meaning of goods. If goods section 2 subsection 52 of CGST Act means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claim, growing of crops, grass, and the things that are attached to or forming the part of land, which are agreed to be served before supply or under the contract of supply. So here goods means all kinds of movable property other than money and security. From this definition, it is very clear that goods includes all kind of movable property, means it shall not include immovable property. Only movable property are included. Therefore, immovable property are not to be considered. Every kind of movable property other than money and security. Mean to say, goods shall not include money and security, but it includes actionable claim, growing of crops, grass, and the things that are attached to or forming the part of land. Mean to say here, just remember, goods shall not include three items. First one, goods does not include immovable property. Goods does not include money and securities, but it includes actionable claim. What is actionable claim? We shall discuss after 2 minutes. But just remember, goods means all kinds of movable property, does not include money and security. Let us see what is service. Section 2, subsection 102. Service means anything other than goods, money, and security, but includes all the activity relating to use of money or its conversion by way of cash or by any other modes from one form, one currency, or one denomination to another form, currency, or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. When we look at the definition of goods, it told goods means all kinds of movable property other than money and security. Services, it says services does not include the above goods, does not include money and security. Therefore, whether if you take up goods or you take up services, money and security is not been included in both items. In goods also, money and security is not included. In services also, money and services security is not included. But services includes all the activity relating to use of money or its conversion. Take for example, if any person is having the foreign currency, that foreign currency he want to convert into Indian money, so he go for a foreign exchanger. He wanted to exchange his currency and get the Indian currency, and the exchange people, they will convert the money and give, but they'll charge some money for that. They'll charge exchange commission. Now that is what we call use of money for converting cash from one form to another form, from one denomination to another denomination, of one currency to another currency. For doing this, you are using the money, then that shall be included under the meaning of service. And what is money? Because both the goods and services shall not include money and security. Let us try to understand what is money. Section 2, subsection 75. Money means an Indian legal tender or any foreign currencies, checks, promissory notes, bills of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, traveler's checks, money order or postal, electronic remittance, or any other instrument recognized by the Reserve Bank of India when used as consideration to settle an obligation or exchange with an Indian legal tender of another denomination, but shall not include any currency that is held for its numismatic value. Now here in one shot we can say here money means an Indian legal tender money which will includes foreign currency, bills of exchange, promissory notes, pay order, all those any other instrument which is recognized by the RBI, and that shall be used for consideration as settlement obligation. We are using that instrument for a considering to settle an obligation that shall be considered as the meaning, but considered as money, but money shall not include any currency that is held for its numismatic value. Numismatic value means those currency which are not been running currency now. Take for example, in the olden days we used to have the own kingdoms coin. Those coins is not been used now. If you're having those currencies, that currency are not a running currency. That what the meaning is a numismatic value. And actionable claim. We come across this actionable claim under the definition of goods, which told goods includes all kinds of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claim. Now, what is actionable claim? Here, actionable claim refers, just try to understand. Actionable claim means those claims for which you can go for court. For claiming those claims, you can go for the court and ask for the claim. That type of claims are called as actionable claim. But actionable claim does not include any claim or any debt which is secured by mortgage of immovable property or by hypothecations, where you can go for the civil court, you can claim for your settlement. Let's concentrate now on section 7, that is meaning and scope of supply. As on the earlier chart I told you, section 7 is having 3 subsections: section 7 subsection 1, section 7 subsection 2, section 7 subsection 3. Now we shall discuss first section 7 subsection 1, which is going to be most important in understanding all the provisions of meaning and scope of supply. Section 7 subsection 1 talks about what is supply. Here we, as per the clause A, supply includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposable, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of business. So as per section 7, subsection 1, clause A, supply means all forms of supplies of goods and services or both. You can call by whatever name you want. You can name them as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental. All these are forms of supply. Now, most important for is this shall be made for a consideration. All forms of supply shall be made for a consideration by a person in the course of business. Therefore, the supply as per section 7 subsection 1 clause A, all forms of supply shall be carried on for a consideration in the course of business. And we already know what's the meaning of consideration. Consideration means in exchange of money. So you are supplying the good in exchange of money. That's what we call as consideration. So for all forms of supply, there shall be a consideration, and such should be carried out in the course or furtherance of business. So from this point, we can clear that all forms of supply of goods, services, or both shall be made for a consideration. What are the forms of supply? You can see here: sale, transfer, barter, exchange. All these are forms of supply, but it shall be carried out for a consideration in the course of business. You are supplying this, if there is no consideration, then that shall not come under the meaning of supply. All forms of supply you must carry it out for a consideration in the course of business, then that shall come under the meaning of supply. Section 7 subsection 1 clause B importation of services for a consideration whether or not in the course or furtherance of business. So here the first clause A says all forms of supply must be carried on for a consideration in the course of business. But section 7 subsection 1 clause B says if you are importing any services, importation of services from foreign countries for a consideration whether or not those services is related to business or not, but it shall come under the meaning of supply. That is, importation of services is also considered as supply. I hope it's clear. First point, clause J, all forms of supply for a consideration in the course of business under meaning of supply. Clause B says importation of services for a consideration whether or not in the course or furtherance of business. You are importing some services, any services. For importation of services, you are paying some consideration. But those consideration, whether it is related to business or not, is immaterial. But that importation of services for a consideration shall be coming under the meaning of supply. Section 7, subsection 1, clause C is supply also includes all the activities which are specified under Schedule 1 to be treated as supply even though without consideration. I just go again, go back to section 1 and clause A. Clause A says any form of supply, there shall be a consideration. Supply without consideration shall not be considered as supply as per clause A. But clause C says there are certain activities that shall be mentioned or that is mentioned under Schedule 1. Those activity you are treating as supply even without consideration. That is we call deemed supply. Normally for all forms of supply, they shall be consideration. Without consideration, it shall not come under the meaning of supply as per clause A. But as per clause C says, there are certain activities or there are certain transactions which are mentioned under the Schedule 1 that to be treated as supply even though without a consideration, that is deemed supply. We call it as a deemed supply. Then section 7, subsection 1, clause D. Supply also includes activities which are specified in Schedule 2 to be treated as supply of goods or to be treated as supply of services. Mean to say, clause D says there are certain activities. How shall we deal with those activities? Whether the activity to be treated as supply of goods or the activity to be treated as supply of services, this shall be mentioned under Schedule 2, that is as per clause D. Once again, just a brief revision of section 7, subsection 1 of all the clauses. Clause A says supply includes all forms of supply. All forms of supply, whether whatever you can name called, you can name them as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, all forms of supply for a consideration in the course of business. Yes, meaning of supply. Clause B says importation of services. You are importing any services from the foreign country. Yes, importation of services for a consideration whether or not for business, that shall also be coming under the meaning of supply. And clause C says there are certain activities that you are going to consider as deemed supply. Deemed supply means supply without consideration. 99% a supply shall be for a consideration, then shall be included in meaning. But there are certain activities, even though there is no consideration, but you have to consider as deemed supply. That is what is Schedule 1 specifies. So activities specified in Schedule 1 to be treated as supply without consideration. Then activities specified in the Schedule 2. Clause D says there are certain activities that are listed under Schedule 2. This activity will tell you how you are going to treat an activity, how you are going to treat a transaction, whether you are going to treat as supply of goods or supply of services. Then let's move on to section 7, subsection 2. Subsection 2, again we have clause A and clause B. Section 7 subsection 2 says there's some activity or there's some transaction that shall not be treated as supply of goods or not supply of services. Those are mentioned under schedule 3. That is, as per section 7 subsection 2 clause A says there are transactions or activity specified under schedule 3 that shall not be treated as supply of goods nor supply of ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ 3 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ನ ಅದು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ ಅದು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಫ್ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ನಾರ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಫ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಯಾವುದು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ neither supply of goods nor supply of services mentioned under schedule 3, as well as clause B say all the activities or transactions that are undertaken by the central government or state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as a public authority may be notified by the government on recommendation of GST Council. So section 7 subsection 2 says what shall not be taken as goods or supply of goods or supply of services, schedule 3. So activities not to be treated either as supply of goods or supply of services, which are those clause J which are mentioned under schedule 3, that is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Section B, all the activities that are carried on by central government or state government not to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Then we have section 7 subsection 3, which says that again we have clause A and clause B. It is supply of goods, but you are not treating a supply of goods, but you are treating a supply of services. There's some activity, that activity is supply of services, but you are not treating that as supply of service, but you are treating as supply of goods. So it is supply of goods, but you are not taking as goods, you are taking as a services. It is supply of service, but you are not taking as a service, but you are considering it as a supply of goods. What are those activities that shall be discussed under section 7 3 clause A and clause B? That is, supply of goods is there, but you are not treating a supply of goods, but you are taking a supply of services. Clause B, it is purely supply of service, but you are not considering as a supply of service, but you are treating as a supply of goods. Then what is schedule 1? Schedule 1, let's go back and recall. Schedule 1, it came here. That is clause C, activities under schedule 1 mean to say deemed supply. There are some activities even though there is no consideration, but we should consider as a supply, that is deemed supply. That's what we shall discuss here. What are those activities that shall be considered as a deemed supply? This includes all the supply made by a taxable person to a taxable or non-taxable person without consideration, and these are mentioned under schedule 1. So schedule 1, it contains some activities, it contains some transaction that you should consider as supply only, even though there is no consideration. That is we call deemed supply. So as per schedule 1, the following 4 cases supply without consideration will be treated as supply under section 7 of CGST Act. What are those 4 cases? That is, number 1, permanent transfer or disposable of business asset. Number 2, supply between related person or a distinct person. Number 3, principal and agent, importation of services. In these 4 transactions or in the 4 activities, even though there is no consideration, you should treat them as a supply. Clause section 7 subsection 1 clause A says all forms of supply for a consideration that only should be taken as supply. But clause C says there are certain activity even though there is no consideration, but you are going to treat as supply, as deemed supply. What are those 4 cases? Once again, let us recall. One is permanent transfer or disposable of business asset, supply between related person or a distinct person, principal and agent, and importation of services. In the four cases, you are treating these transaction or these activity as supply of goods, even though there is no consideration. Let us discuss in detail. Permanent transfer or disposal of business asset. That is any kind of disposal or transfer of business asset made by an entity, made by an entity on a permanent basis, even though without consideration, qualifies as supply. However, it is important to note that this provision would apply only if input tax credit has been availed on such asset. So any person, he is transferring this business asset or disposing the permanent asset without a consideration, then that shall be taken as a equal to supply only. Then supply between related person or a distinct person, that is supply of goods or supply of services or both, between related person or between a distinct person as specified in section 25, will be treated or will be qualified as a supply provided it is made in the course of business. Means if you are supplying some goods or services to a related person or to a distinct person, that shall be treated as equal to supply even though without a consideration, but condition says it must be carried down in the course of business. The newer related persons, because any transaction or any supply between related persons. So if you are doing, if you are supplying the goods or supplying of services for a related person, those person even without consideration shall be treated as supply. So in a detailed discussion of related person, who are related person. Person shall be deemed to be related if he fall under any of the category below. That is number one, officer or a director of one business is the officer or director in another business. Business are legally recognized as partner, an employer and employee, any person who hold 25% of the shares in another company, directly or indirectly, any one of them control the other directly or indirectly, they come under common control or management. Entities together control another entities and they are members of the same family. So these category of the people are known as related person. And if the transaction between these following person, then it shall be treated as deemed supply even though there is no consideration. Person also includes a legal person. We shall also include HUF, company, firm, LLP or a cooperative society, a body of individual or your local authority or government, etc. And also include entity incorporated outside India and person who are associated with another business, sole agent, even they are treated as a related person. Now let us discuss a distinctive person under section 25. Who is a distinctive person? The person who has obtained or required to obtain more than one registration, whether in one state or one union territory or more than one state, shall in respect of each registration will be treated as distinct person. Take for example, if a person is having the business in Bangalore and is having another branch in the other state, take for example Andhra Pradesh, same person, same business, one branch in Bangalore, another branch in Andhra Pradesh, then that person should take registration in Bangalore also, should take registration in the Andhra also. So the same person where registration is required to be taken in more than two places, then that person shall be considered as a distinct person. Same owner, same business, same branch, but two registration, then that shall be taken considered as a deemed person. Even if there is a transaction between the distinct person, then it shall be treated as a supply without consideration, is deemed supply. And if there is any transaction or activity between principal and agent, then that shall also be treated equal to supply, though agent is working on behalf of principal. So agent is just an agent, is just a representative of the principal. So he carry on the activity on behalf of the principal. So whatever activity agent does on behalf of principal, all those activity will be treated as equal to supply, even though there is no consideration. Then importation of service already we have discussed. If any person importing services from the outside, those services shall be taken as a supply, even though without consideration, but it shall be in the course of business.